Hi guys, okay, so once again I have definitely left my Vlogmas stuff right until the last minute, but that's a good thing because it just means I've had a nice weekend and I've just been living my life, and I never ever want to get to a stage where the content that I put out, especially stuff on YouTube and things like that, where it becomes that I'm doing stuff purely for content and then not living my life. And I was having this conversation this week about this very thing, about how there is blurred lines between people who create content online, between their real life and their online life and the content that they create. And I never want to get to the stage, because to me, like, the whole point of me building my life around, like, building my work around my life, is that it works so that I can have a nice life and I get to be flexible and I get to make money around things that I love. And so if it becomes a chore and it becomes that I'm not actually living my life, then it doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't make sense to be doing that. And I actually see a lot of content creators, a lot of YouTubers that are really successful but actually have sacrificed too much. And yes, it's great to be financially successful, but then what is success? You know, like, success isn't just about finances. Success is about your quality of life, and of course having money helps that, but it's not everything. And what I worry, I see some YouTubers or some people who create stuff online where it's their online profile becomes consuming. And as you guys know, I don't regularly, I'm not that regular normally with content, which is probably not a great thing for you guys. It would be nicer if I kind of was a little bit more organized with that. And so when I commit to something like Vlogmas, it is a commitment to me, and it is a fine line, which is why a couple of times I've messed up on timings, or I've missed a couple of days out, and I'm not gonna, like, worry about it, because it is what it is. And it's largely because sometimes I get busy, and I don't put any sort of pressure on myself to hit that. Like, I just don't, because my actual real life is what is important. And then if I can create content around that, then it feels more authentic. I think if I get to a stage where I feel forced and I feel like I have to just churn any old crap out just to hit a deadline, my natural rebel in me will be like, nah, don't worry about it. And it doesn't make sense to me. Like, the whole point of everything that I do is that I try and be as open and honest and as authentic as I can possibly be. Now, that also doesn't mean that I give you everything. This is another conversation that I've been having this week about privacy, about, you know, how much you put out on the internet. And I've certainly learnt lessons over my time creating stuff online where I've went, oh, maybe I shouldn't have given that much away, because, you know, there's been some kind of backlash of it, or actually I felt a little bit exposed in some way. And as much as there's big chunks of my life that I put out on social media and I talk very openly about, and you guys know from this channel I'm a pretty open book, there are also sides to me that you don't know at all, and very few people will ever see those sides and those parts of who I am. And I think that's really, really important. And it's not about not being authentic, it's about protecting your own heart and soul. And I think when people put stuff out like I do, and they talk so very freely and openly about their lives, they still have to have certain boundaries. And if you don't, I think you could lose a sense of who you are really in real life. And I'm fairly good at separating what's my, you know, what's me that I want everybody to see, and I'm cool with people seeing, and probably that's more open than most people would be. You know, I let you all in on a big chunk of my life, and I talk very openly about things that maybe people wouldn't speak about normally, but that doesn't mean it's everything. And there are parts of my life that are very protected, and very private, and that's a good thing. I think personally, I think it's a good thing. And so when you see me on here, you can know it's real me, and you can know that when I'm putting stuff out on here, it's because I want to, not because it's a chore or because I feel I'm going to financially gain from it. Because with what I do, it's actually not a, you know, it's not a fast buck. It's about creating consistent and interesting topics and content and stuff like that. And so I just want to be myself, and I just want to be free to do what I want to do. And anytime I feel like there's any kind of rules that are put in place, or where if I felt like I had to do something just because it benefited me financially, I would find it really boring. And then to me, it's no different to having a proper job. That doesn't make any sense to me. I want to, as I've always said, and I do, wake up and do what I want to do every day. And that includes the content that I create. And sometimes that means that the content is just me sat chatting on my bed. Because right now I don't really want to think, oh, you know, like today I had a really nice day. I spent time with family and friends, and I didn't film any of it. Because that was a private moment with family and friends that didn't need to be out on the internet. Now that's not to say that I won't share other stuff that is private. Like I shared yesterday that we've put the Christmas tree up. I didn't share that me and Brooke had an argument yesterday and she was upset, or I didn't share that Texas was upset today. You know, I don't film every part of my life, and I'm certainly very protective with the kids as well. You know, my girls will be on the channel, but you won't see everything about them, and they're little people themselves. And I do speak to them, by the way. I do ask them, and I always say, you know, if ever you don't want me to film you, or you don't want to talk about you, like, you never have, there's no pressure on that. And they're still at an age where it's fairly cute, but you know, it would certainly be a conversation over the next few years with the girls whether they wanted to be part of it at all. But yeah, these are just things that I've been thinking about. You know, when I'm putting so much out online, and the more exposure that I get, and certainly over the last year there has been a lot more than there has been before. It's a new sort of step for me. It's a new thing, you know. I'm finding more and more when I go out and about in my normal life that people come up to me and maybe follow me across one of my social platforms, and that's really nice, but also quite daunting at the same time, because people do feel like they know you, and they do a bit, but they don't really know you, and so yeah, it's just kind of a new exposure again. And I know that that will largely become more and more frequent. And I guess it's just me working out in my head what my own boundaries are, and, you know, how I want my life to look. And that's an exciting thing, because that is what we can do. And that's always what I've said. You know, we can create our own lives, our own realities, and we just have to decide what we want from that. And so I guess this is me sort of working out what I want and what I want to share, and what's interesting, because I can see the YouTubers or the content creators across other social platforms, when I can see that it's just churning out stuff because they have to for monetary reasons, and they're, you know, it's just being churned out. It doesn't interest me personally. I'm sure it has its, you know, following that people like, but for me, I want to see real people. I want to see people's fears and their ambitions, and I want to see them be honest and real, and whatever that looks like, I want that, and I want more of it. So there, this is me just chilled on a Sunday night, had a nice day, and this is what I want to talk about today. Just be yourself, and if it feels right to put stuff out, put it out. If it doesn't, don't. And that is it. Peace and good night.